Hello everyone. So my name is Sam from Kumasi, Ghana, and I'm presenting on the host, the human immune intelligence, a great force against Filiarial nematode parasites. So Filiarial infection is basically, yeah, going on. We have the lymphatic filariasis, the onchocerciasis, the loa, and the masonella. So basically, these are diseases which are quite localized to our part of the world, that's Africa and other developing countries. They are termed as the neglected tropical disease. Why? Because as compared to other major infections like TB, HIV, in fact, filarial infections are given little research attention. So there is little research attention and funding directed towards. Great, can you hear me? All right.
I'm here. It's definitely here. We can hear you fairly well. It's just that it sounds as though you're typing or perhaps your input jack isn't secure. Just take the setup you have, and then I think it should be fine.
Great. Is it
But
better?
we can hear your voice pretty well, except for this weird crackling that we're hearing a bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I hope you will fix it. Anyway, so I made mention of the various infections, same as the filarial infections. And I said they are neglected tropical disease localized in our part of the world. And in LF particularly, it's ranked at the second most common cause of physical disability. So basically, those who have lymphatic filariasis suffer disability. They have this swelling of the limbs, you could see here, and then some other pathologies associated with it. So in this figure, this is just a representation of the distribution of the infection in the world. So you can see that sub-Saharan Africa accounts for most of the infections. So you could see sub-Saharan Africa is hyper-endemic for both LF and Oncho, and then some parts of North America endemic for onchocerciasis. So in this table, I try to really summarize the parasites, the various parasites which are implicated in the various infections. So basically, most of the pathology are associated with the adult worm. So the location of the adult worm also give rise to specific pathology. So if you have the adult worms of Filiarial bancrofti, which is quite common in lymphatic filariasis, if you have the adult worm localizing in the lymphatics, you see basically the functioning of the lymphatic vessel and the swelling of the lymphatic vessel. So this is just a summary of the various parasites responsible for the various infections. So the baby worms, which are also known as the Macrophages, are in that circulation all the time. Then you could see these are the vectors responsible for the transmission of the parasite. So you could see Anopheles mosquito, which is also implicated in malaria, vector for the transmission of filarial parasite. So basically, this is just a snapshot of the pathologies associated with lymphatic filariasis. So people who suffer from the infection normally get swelling of the limbs, probably due to the dysfunctioning of their lymph vessel. And then you could also get such individuals with swelling of the scrotal sac, which is quite appalling. So this for onchocerciasis, you might have probably heard of river blindness. So river blindness is really people who have the disease actually go blind. There is also skin lesion, dermatitis, and then some other individuals also get noodles. So this is actually a collection of the worms localized at a particular place on the skin. So if you take a skin snap, so if you take a skin snap of this, if you take a skin snap and put it in buffer, you can actually see worms coming out from this. So this is just a summary of the life cycle of the Filiarial bancrofti, which is mostly implicated in lymphatic filariasis. So just as all other vector-borne infections or vector-borne disease, so normally there is a mosquito or a vector which takes a blood meal, so takes a blood meal and then at the same time deposits the larvae into the human coat. And then there is the growth of the larvae for some time, and then this larvae grows into adult proliferates, and then you get, you get baby worms also being forming, and then the mosquito comes back again and then takes the larvae, and then the cycle continues. So for the next section of my presentation, I'm going to focus on the various treatment strategies and then the host immune intelligence. So there is enough evidence showing that the killing or the clearance of the worms are not only done by the drug alone, but then the host immune response or the host immune intelligence actually plays a complementary role in the clearance of the filarial parasite. However, the various mechanisms, the exact mechanisms, are yet to be elucidated, and we hope our research will help in shedding light on some of the mechanisms involved in that. So treatment is basically by chemotherapy. So this drug called ivermectin is quite popular, used in the treatment of filarial infections. It works by blocking or interacting the postsynaptic glutamate-gated chloride channel. Now, the interesting thing is that these targeted proteins are encoded only in the genome of organisms in the Nematode and Macrophages. So therefore, there is no profound effect on the host or our other organisms. So it makes its effect quite specific to organisms in the phyla. So blocking of the chloride channels immobilizes the worms, the microfilariae, and then what happens is that the immobilized worms are transported to the regional lymph nodes where they have been acted on by the effector cells. I'm really going to talk about the effector cells at the latter end of the presentation. However, we've seen in some models that there are kind of some differences in parasite-infected hosts. So there are kind of differences which suggest that the host, the human host, and the human immune response are playing a significant role in the clearance of the infection. So other studies also revealed that gene polymorphism in some cytokines associated with immunosuppression of onchocerciasis actually contributes to the variation in the immune response to some of the infections. The next class of drugs is the albendazole. Albendazole, you might have probably heard of it, it's quite common. It's effective against some other worms, and it works by rather inhibiting the polymerization of the worm beta tubulin and the microtubule formation. Diethylcarbamazole is probably one of the most famous drugs in the treatment of lymphatic filariasis. It attacks, the most interesting thing is that it attacks the parasites at all life stages. So it can attack the baby worms and it can attack both the adult worms. So remember, I made mention that the adult worms are the ones which are really implicated in the pathology. So if you can have a drug which targets both the baby and the adult, that's good news, and that's why it's quite very popular. But then it's not really recommended in people with onchocerciasis because there is some kind of local inflammatory response in such individuals. So it works basically by blocking or inhibiting the cyclooxygenase pathway and the lipase oxygenase pathways of the parasite, therefore rendering them dead or dysfunctional. So it's quite interesting. We've seen about 40% effectiveness, and then I'm sure current research is trying to optimize them. However, yeah, I think I made mention of this. It's not recommended in onco people. So the next class of drug is the doxycycline. So doxycycline is an antibiotic. You might have probably seen it elsewhere. So what happens is that um, the parasite houses this bacteria called Wolbachia. Now, Wolbachia is an endosymbiont, meaning the parasite depends on this bacteria for its survival, basically. So the trick is that if we can target the parasite, sorry, if we can target the bacteria, we could actually render the worm ineffective or non-functional or dead. So current treatment is by targeting the bacteria within the parasite, which in a way indirectly kills the parasite. And this led to the formation of what we call the Anti-Wolbachia Consortium, probably in Liverpool, being headed by Professor Mark Taylor. He's done so much work trying to reveal and develop so many chemical targets which could actually work against the bacteria within the parasite. However, there are contraindications, no good for pregnant women and children under 9. So current research is still going on with they've seen other antibiotics which have higher therapeutic effects. I'm just highlighting this. There are others being published recently in PNAS and Nature. You can check them out, Marcella and the rest. So the next slide talks about the host immune intelligence. So I'm going to just summarize briefly what the host immune intelligence does in such infection. So both innate and adaptive immune response are elicited during the infection. Now, what happens is that these are the canonical, or these are the primary immune response. So the infection is quite tailored towards the Th2 response, and then you have these cytokines being presented, IL-3, 4, 5, and the rest, and then these antibodies also being presented. Now you have a profound amount of eosinophils, basophils, mast cells, and alternatively activated macrophages. Now you also have toll-like receptors being also brought into action, and Professor Jeremy did a good job by explaining toll-like receptors and alarming yesterday, and I'm sure you could really appreciate this the following content. So before I move on to the next slide, I just want to highlight this. So the dendritic cell is the APC antigen presenting cell. What it does is that it connects the innate immune response to the adaptive immune response. So it kind of serves as the bridge. So remember, I said that infection is quite tailored to the Th2. So what happens is that presentation of an antigen to a naive CD4 T cell results in the proliferation of the Th2 cell type. So this is a summary of the immune response. I should have cited this, but then I took it from, I think, Wikimedia, one of Wikimedia's paper. You could check it out later on. All right, so I made mention of the expanded population of eosinophils, basophils, and all those kind of fights. So what happens is that eosinophils contribute to the destruction of the helminth by what we call the antibody-dependent cytotoxicity. And then you have these chemicals being released, which really plays a role in the killing of the worm. Now, when it comes to neutrophils help in the control of the Filiarial nematode in an IL-5 dependent manner, right? And then the next one I'm going to talk about is the basophils. Now, basophils also help in the initiation of what we call the Th2. I made mention of it, probably because of its important role in the production of IL-5. for cytokines. But then research has also showed and then confirmed that depletion of the basophils results in the drastic reduction of the eosinophils and then CD4 T cells. So they kind of have how do you call it, an associative effect with each other. So macrophages are also implicated in the infection. So what happens is that in filarial infection, there is the development of a different phenotype of macrophage known as the alternatively associated macrophages. Now, they are quite different from the normal macrophages. So this is driven by the Th2 cytokines, IL-4, IL-13, which help in the production of this phenotype of macrophage. Now, it also expresses agonist, and chitinase, and these molecules, resistin-like molecules, which also play a role in the clearance of the infection, basically. So the AAAs, the alternated activated macrophages, also contribute basically in tissue repair, regulation, and then parasites. So we've seen that also interferon gamma has also been indicated in Brugia malaria infection model, and then it helps in killing of the parasite through the release of nitric oxide. So thank you. I would like to acknowledge these guys, Vidal Zakoto, and then Alexander Kwati, that's my boss, over here, who's been very instrumental in the development of our system. Thank you. Yep. Thanks.
All right. Thanks so much, Sam, for your presentation. All right. So we have a few questions from our audience. The first has to do with your last couple of slides where you went over a series of immune subsets involved in controlling parasite infection. So clinically speaking, do we know which of these subsets, basophils, macrophages, or Th2 cells, are important at the different stages of parasite infection?
Sorry, I'm kind of looking at the question again. So clinically speaking, we know which immune cell subsets, basophils, macrophages, or Th2 are important at different stages of the parasite infection. Actually speaking, I might have to look into that. For the solution, basically.
All right, and on a similar note, do you know what happens to the immune balance following an infection? Could this reset, for example, allergic immune responses?
Yeah. So this brings in mind the what we call the hygiene hypothesis, which really goes like those who are people who have lots of infectious disease. Some of these infectious disease don't really prone to allergic infections, basically. Yeah, I think there is some kind of balance between those with the filarial infections and then allergic immune response. It's something we are currently looking into. There are a couple of works being done by Maxim Horov group in Germany, which tries to look at the balance between these infections and the incidence of the allergic response to allergic. That's something that I'm doing.
Great, thank you very much, Sam.